We're going to talk now a little bit about the John Doe investigation, which a few weeks ago that sort of was put to rest, we thought, by the state Supreme Court, but there's a lot more happening still in the news this week. Dan, can you tell us a little bit about what's the latest on the John Doe?
Well, first, we have to understand why this is all happening now, because as you said, it looked like everything was over, but some of the targets of the John Doe didn't like how it went. And even though they've been cleared, they want to push back. And so one of the targets of the investigation, Cindy Archer, went to court to say that her civil rights were violated, made a number of allegations, and the prosecutors are now responding to the allegations, and they've asked the judge in the John Doe to allow them to release documents that have never been public before to help make their case. And so there's a lot of new information coming out as a result.
All right, well, let me ask Patrick, Marley, and Madison on what we found out from one of those filings this week about the governor, and was he or was he not a target of the investigation? Patrick?
So the latest thing that come out says that in 2011, prosecutors believed that there was probable cause to think that the governor had committed a felony when he was Milwaukee County executive over a real estate deal. Now the governor was saying at the time definitively that he was not a target, and so this is sort of in conflict with what we now know prosecutors believed to get the warrant that allowed them to search Cindy Archer's house.
Right, and it's important to note, of course, there were no charges against the governor or any of the others on this. We're talking about what was kind of known at the time, and Mary, tell us a little bit about the governor, what he's been saying today about that.
Right, so all along the governor had said that he reported the missing money, that he cooperated with the probe. Then prosecutors came back in a filing filed very late last week saying that Walker's office obstructed the probe. Then the revelation, or the new information that he was under investigation. Today he actually said he did not know that he was under investigation, that this is the first he heard of it. He told reporters in Cleveland that it was basically new information for him, but he also noted this was a done deal and this has been closed for a couple
What's
years.
interesting about this is that if you could roll back and you remember in March of 2012, he spent most of a day talking with prosecutors in which they asked him a number of questions. We don't know what happened in that. Those records are not available. There's a transcript of it, but we haven't seen it. I think only when we see that we'll know what exactly he knew at the time. But it would be hard to believe that he went through an 8-hour interview with the prosecutors without knowing that he was at least someone that they were interested in terms of whether he committed a crime or not.
And he had a legal defense fund.
He had a legal defense fund, and he had a former U.S. attorney as an attorney sitting there with him during the whole process.
All right, let me ask you, Dan, on a piece you did earlier this week, and there's some more happenings on that today, but Cindy Archer, he had mentioned, was filed and claimed the raid at her house and sort of described it in her manner, and we had an audio tape.
Her manner was that it was a terrifying experience, that they came in and she thought they were going to shoot her dogs, and she was undressed and it was crazy. She wasn't told what she was under investigation for. There were no grounds for it, and that she was not given her Miranda warning. But the audio tape, it turns out they recorded it, and it appears that Cindy didn't know that they recorded the 3-hour long audio tape of the entire incident. And it's much more mannerly, quiet, calm. It's tense because no one likes being roused from their sleep at 6 a.m. with, a dozen guys in black coming in to take your computers and cell phones. So it is tense, but it's also very polite in many ways. And the agent in charge, Erin Weiss, seems to come across pretty well during the entire time. And she is read her Miranda rights. That takes about 4 minutes. And Weiss also reads her the entire search warrant and the secrecy order. So what's very interesting is she, on the audio tape, explains and discusses another raid of a house that she was in years ago, which was incredibly terrifying and scary, and people coming in with guns and stuff. So listening to the audio tape, I'm wondering if she's actually conflating the two stories with her case. But in terms of the response today, they've taken that information and some of the other, and the prosecutors are now asking that the Judge Adelman, throw out her suit because they say there are no grounds for what
so this was the filings. These are the prosecutors who are the target. This is, we need a little map here of Archer's complaint saying, look, we weren't doing what you said we were doing, please dismiss.
Right. Archer saying my rights were violated as a result of this investigation and this raid on my home. The prosecutors are saying, no, that didn't happen. And so they're asking Judge Adelman to throw out the case. And obviously, they're very happy that they ended up with Judge Adelman, a former Democratic lawmaker who's very liberal, and they're, I assume, thinking that he would be sympathetic to the arguments they're making.
All right, well, there'll be more to come on that story, so thanks, guys, for your summary of it.